there, I'm Cody.
And I'm Kara.
And welcome to Let's Stay Home.
Today we are getting into the second part of our moving series where we'll be sharing all about how to start preparing for your moving process, specifically focusing on decluttering your space before you start packing and ultimately before you start your move.
If you're new to the channel, welcome. This is the second part in a multi-part series about learning how to move and us sharing our experience with you guys.
So if you are new to us and this is your first video with us, we are so happy to have you here. But if you're in the process of moving, do make sure you go back to the beginning, which is video 1, and you will be able to kind of learn more about our moving process and some tips for you if you're still deciding exactly where it is you want to move and you need some tips or resources for that.
This is the second video of our mini-series on moving, and make sure to go check out the first one if you haven't already to learn more about how to decide where to move.
Alright, so if you have been following along with us and you have seen our first video on how you decide where to move and how we decided where to move, then it is going to be kind of time to figure out, well, what do you do after that, right? You know where you're moving and maybe it's not really time for you to start packing yet, but you kind of want to do something, or you should do something before you start packing to make the process a little easier, and that's what this video is all about. So we are going to get into the process of decluttering your space or spaces before you start your packing process and move forward in your moving process.
Before you start decluttering, you need to figure out these 3 things. So the first thing you need to figure out is the timeline for moving. Knowing when you're moving will help you have a better idea on how long you can spend decluttering. If you need more time, less time, it all just depends on your moving timeline.
Most experts do recommend doing this about 6 weeks out from your move, but you can honestly start whenever you want. It's actually something you can, and in our opinion, should start on as soon as you know you're moving or when you're moving. It can be really good to start this as soon as you decide to move and when you know you're moving, because not only do you get a clean, decluttered, organized house, you have a lot more time to make it happen so you can enjoy the process more. And then when it comes to packing, as always, it'll just be a whole lot easier.
If you're downsizing, you might want to be more strict on what you keep, whereas if you're upsizing, you may want to hang on to the things that you'll hold on to over until you're able to buy new or upgraded stuff to fully fill in your home. The third thing you need to figure out is how you're getting there. If you're using a moving truck that's 16 feet by 8 feet, it's important to understand what can fit in your moving truck and declutter accordingly. If you declutter and realize you need more space in your moving solution, this process will help.
Okay, so now that you have those things figured out before you really dive into the decluttering process, we really want to talk about why it is so important to do this and why it actually is going to help you a lot in your process. If you're anybody like me, I don't know about you, but decluttering and clearing out my space can make me actually de-stress. It can be a little overwhelming at first when you're doing it, but at the end of it, and you're really proud of yourself for everything you've done, and everything's clean, the best part, right? It can be a really great way to relieve some stress. If you're moving, or whether it's soon or really in advance, it's a very stressful process. So take little moments like this to do something that can help relieve some of that stress.
Decluttering also helps because you really get to know what you have and what you don't. And this can help you in the future when you are making other buying decisions, such as furniture or small decorative items.
And then finally, the most important reason why decluttering is so helpful is that it helps you have a more organized move. At the end of it, like we've already said, moving is very stressful, and the more organized you can be, the better. You can't control everything in your moving process, but you can control this part. So it can be really helpful to set yourself up for success really early on in the process just by decluttering.
So now that you know the importance of decluttering, here's how you're going to learn how to declutter. Tip 1, make a plan.
First things first, when you're making your plan, is you want to consider what spaces you need to declutter, when you want to declutter them, either what day or weekend you want to pick to do it, also when you want those things decluttered by, and any goals you have. So for us in our space, one of our big goals was to go through the kitchen and get rid or donate anything that we hadn't used since we moved here. And since we've been here for a year, we figured if we haven't used it in that time, we probably won't use it moving forward. So that was one of our specific goals that we had. A great tip that I found online when making your plan is to grade your spaces. So on a scale of whatever you find appropriate, the typical grading scale is 1 through 3, is based on how cluttered your room is. So if you have a room or a specific space that you're looking to declutter, you want to grade it on a scale of 1 to 3, 1 being not that cluttered and 3 being very cluttered, oh my goodness. This is gonna help you work smarter by tackling maybe your 3 rooms or spaces on days you have a lot of time to do it, or weekends you have a lot of time to do it, versus the 1 rooms or spaces where you maybe don't have as much time, but you also don't need to dedicate as much time because they're not so cluttered. It's really important in this step to really focus on the specifics. So this can be a really overwhelming process. So when you are thinking about making your plan, you can draw a map of your home, you can make a to-do list, whatever works best for you is going to help you make your plan perfect for your decluttering.
Step 2, do it. First things first is take everything out. This will really allow you to see what you have, and it also opens up the space available for you to see how you want to use it.
While you're in your decluttering process, make sure you clean as you go or tidy as you go. As you're working through decluttering a specific room or space, it's really helpful to get in there and clean it. So for example, if you're going through your kitchen, like when we were, it was the perfect time to clean out the cabinets since everything was out of them. I know most of us probably don't deep clean the spaces we wish we did all the time, and this helps you kind of get it all done all at one time. As you're decluttering, make sure you're not just taking inventory of what you have, but you take notes on the things you might need to better store and organize what you end up keeping. As you're going through your items, you might start to notice that they don't have homes for them. If you know anything about organization or are looking to get more organized, you know how important it is for every item to have a home. In this process and realizing that, you might want to take note of needing to pick up some bins or baskets, or maybe even certain special hangers for your closet.
It's important to create a sorting system. Some helpful categories to have are keep, donate and sell, trash and recycle, and store. This will help you better categorize your items as you're going through them.
In your keep section, pile, or bucket, however you decide to do it, these are going to be the things you use, you love, or you need. This is going to be maybe a great place for you to set a goal for you, is maybe how many things you want to keep from a particular room, or if you have goals about how much you want to get rid of.
As for donations, these items can go to friends, family, or local charities. Next, you can sell, and there are a multitude of platforms to help you do this, such as Poshmark, Facebook Marketplace, and eBay.
Beyond what you're keeping, selling, or donating, you're probably going to come into some trash while you are going through your things. Now, a really important thing to note here is your genuine trash should probably be kept to a minimum. Bad food, dust from vacuuming, hair from dusting, anything like that, that is trash. Everything else, for the most part, should be attempted to be recycled or donated. An important part of the moving process that some people don't talk about in this stage is our impact on the environment as we are moving. I think previously it's been really common to just throw everything out, put it in the dumpster, and don't worry about donating or upcycling or things like that. Unfortunately, based on that, we're kind of at a place where landfills are full, and I don't know about you, but I don't really want to be contributing to that. So as you go through your process, do try to trash as little as possible. And if you have anything that is maybe electronics or medications, anything like that, those things do require specific disposal. You can typically Google locally any places you can donate electronics. You typically can take them to a place like Best Buy or Staples, and they will do them for you. If you have medications, like I said, you can just look up locally to see where your drop-off locations are, and everything will be disposed of in a proper way that won't do damage to our planet.
Finally, there's the stuff you can store. This is typically seasonal or decor items. And when you are storing them, make sure to pack them in containers and label them accordingly.
When it comes to labeling anything that you're storing, we're going to talk more about this in the packing process as well. But what we like to do is put some clear like inserts on the sides of our boxes, and then we'll tape them on, and inside we'll insert a very specific list template we have. We've linked it down below in the description for you if you want to use it. It's just printable, easy to use, and we have really specific information on it. So if it's one of our Christmas decor boxes, it would say garland, glass ornaments, and maybe our Christmas tree topper. Whatever's in that box is going to be what's on that label. So this is a great way too later on if you're ever shuffling through things, either in the moving process or when you're getting your holiday decorations out, to know exactly which box you need to go to for that one thing you're looking for. So before you start tackling your decluttering after this video, we wanted to share with you some tips that we've learned through our decluttering process at this apartment specifically, and we really hope they can help you.
Tip number 1, declutter a room at a time. When you look at a room, it can be really overwhelming to see just how much stuff there is to declutter. We broke it down into sections. For example, our bedroom. We had under the bed, our side tables, and then the front of the room. This made decluttering feel way more approachable. Tip 2, expectation management.
When you're going into the decluttering process, we all know it can be super overwhelming. In fact, if you haven't done it before, you might not have done it because it was overwhelming. So one of the most important things you can do in this process is really manage your expectations. So going into this knowing that there might be some difficult decisions on what to keep and what to get rid of, that it can feel a little overwhelming, and knowing that that's all okay is going to help make this a better experience for you and overall allow you to be even more successful in this process.
Tip number 3, knowing when to keep it or get rid of it.
When you're going through the decluttering process, sometimes it can be really hard to decide whether or not you should keep something or donate, sell it, whatever that may be. Some different questions you can ask yourself or some different things to keep in mind are the following.
We took a page out of Marie Kondo's notes and decided to ask ourselves if something sparks joy.
Basically what that means is when you're holding on to that particular item, does it spark joy for you? And that can feel like happiness or something you really like and love. If not, it can be a pretty good indication that it's time to find a new home. Another thing to envision while you're going through decluttering when deciding to keep something or not is to really envision your next space or your ideal aesthetic or whatever vibe, whatever you want to call it, that you're going for in your next place. If that particular item helps build that aesthetic or ideal life that you're envisioning, definitely keep it. If not, again, it's probably a good indicator that you should give it up.
2 other things to ask yourself is, when did you use it last, and is there a home for it? Asking yourself these questions can really help decide if you should keep something or not.
Specifically in terms of electronics or really anything that turns on or off, is to actually make sure it works. It can feel great to find things in storage like batteries or light bulbs, knowing that you are good to go on those, but if they don't work, it's really not worth taking them to your next place.
As you start to declutter, you can find sentimental or emotional things that you want to keep simply because it means something to you. This can be really difficult if it's just holding up space and you're not really doing anything with it. This is a really good time to sleep on it, and it allows you to just give yourself some time to think if you really need it and what use it really holds in your life. If you're diving into decluttering after this video, know that the ultimate goal here is to aim for better, not perfect. You don't need to get rid of everything in your space, but just enough so that you can feel accomplished and successful when it comes to packing and the rest of your moving process.
We hope you liked this video and found it helpful. If you did, be sure to subscribe. We've got lots more moving videos coming with great tips and resources to help you in your moving process. As always, if you have any questions about anything we talked about in the video or decluttering specifically, feel free to leave them below in the comments. Until then, have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you in the next video.